of Presidential Affairs and Chief of Staff to the President of the Republic, Honorable CEESAY, our host, Honorable Minister of Information, Media and Broadcasting, Dr. ISMAILA CEESAY, Honorable Minister of Petroleum, Energy and Mines, Brother NANI JUWARA, the Honorable Minister of Tourism, Arts and Culture, Honorable Joe, and Honorable Minister of Finance, Economic Affairs, Honorable SEEDY KEITA, Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Information, Media and Broadcasting, Madam Kurujara, Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Health, Dr. Toure, Deputy Permanent Secretary, Technical, Dr. Babandi Savali, Executive Director, National Medicines Agency, Dr. Issa Marina, Honorable Keba M. Toure, Advisor to the Honorable Minister of Information, Media and Broadcasting Services, Dr. Mustafa Bide, Chief Medical Director, CMD, Edward Francis Small Teaching Hospital, Honorable Muhammadu M. JALLOW, Director of Political Affairs of the State Intelligence Services, ladies and gentlemen of the media, I welcome you all. My name is Principal Wakaraminat Sankano, Deputy Director of Press and Public Relations, Office of the President. I thank you all for joining us today. This is part of our mandate as a government to deliver, to engage the media. We're going to proceed as follows. The Honorable Minister of Information and Media Broadcasting Services will give an opening statement, welcoming us and giving remarks, to be followed by an elaborate statement by the Honorable Minister of Finance and Economic Affairs, SEEDY KEITA. Then we'll open the floor for Q&A. Again, for the sake of protocol, each media personnel is expected to answer only one question to give chance to others. When all are exhausted, then we can ask supplementary questions. Let's be considerate. Again, it is an interface with the media. If you are not a media practitioner, please contact a media practitioner, a journalist on your side. He or she can answer questions on your behalf. We have various forums. We have the Mansakunda tonight, another Mansakunda, which is open for citizens and non-media practitioners. So please, let's respect the room. You can start working on your questions, and then a journalist next to you can ask on your behalf. Again, feel free to ask in local languages. English is our official languages, but at the end of the day, as a government, we want our message to be disaggregated to reach the people. So therefore, feel free to ask in our native languages. As His Excellency President Barrow does, he'll give a statement in English language to be followed by local language explanation. So we are going to follow that mantra. Summarize in English, elaborate in our national languages.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning, honorable ministers present here today to attend this very important press conference. We have here with us, we have the Honorable Minister of Petroleum and Energy. Honorable NANI JUWARA is here with us today. We have the Chief of Staff to the President and the Minister for the Presidency, Mr. CEESAY is here. We have the Honorable Minister of Tourism, Arts and Culture, Honorable Job is also here. We have the Honorable Minister of Finance, Honorable SEEDY KEITA is here with us as well. We have the Honorable Minister for Environment. Oh, Honorable SEEDY KEITA is here today. Sorry, apologies. Honorable Minister for Environment, Honorable Rahijon Manjang is also here. And finally, we have the Minister for Basic Education, Honorable HABIBATOU DRAMMEH. Members of the press, senior government officials, from Ministry of Health, Ministry of Information, from the Medicines Control Agency, and other departments and agencies, and also, obviously, members of the Gala movement. I'm not sure if it's a movement or organization, but members of the Gala. It's a pleasure to have you here today, and we thank you for coming. We thank the press for attending this press conference, even though it is short notice. Now, the purpose of this press conference is very simple. The Gambia government received a petition from the Gala last month. And in this petition, they raised three critical issues. One of them is the implementation of Parliamentary Inquiry Report recommendations on the importation and sale of petroleum products valued at $30 million. The second issue raised was the general update on the progress of audited cases involving corruption and fraud. And the third case is the implementation of the acute kidney failure, or AKI, panel investigations. And as a government that is responsive and sensitive to the concerns and demands of citizens, we took these petitions very seriously. And we convened a high-level panel to sit and scrutinize these petitions and come up with an appropriate response to the Gala. How do we know that we are taking this very seriously? Today we have cabinet here. Today Gala is interfacing, the public is interfacing with cabinet. Cabinet is not a space. Cabinet is a composition. And here today we have about 7 to 8 cabinet members here because we take the concerns of citizens very seriously. As already announced by the chair of the press conference, the Minister of Finance will read the government's press statement, which is the response to the Gala. Obviously, we'll hand over the written one to the Gala after the press briefing. But one thing that we want to emphasize as a government, that we are ready to engage citizens, to discuss issues that are of critical concern to everyone. We and citizens, particularly Gala, we are not at different convergence points. We are all talking about the same thing, and we are all concerned about the same things. We have a commitment to fight corruption and to ensure that public finances are judiciously managed. And I think that is what Gala wants. So let us engage rather than confront. Let us solve our problems in discussion rooms rather than in the streets, because it will be of nobody's interest. That is what we are pleading as a government. We want to engage every citizen, be it Gala, be it anybody, as long as you are a citizen, you have a concern. Our offices are always open. Our doors are always open. You don't need an appointment. Come and let us sit and engage and discuss our issues and solve it in an amicable manner as expected in any civilized democracy. That is what we want. So I hope that this today will open a new chapter in our democratic journey that will focus and promote engagement rather than confrontation. That will focus on solving our problems in our offices, in meeting rooms, in conference rooms, rather than in the streets. I hope that we are closing that chapter now, and now we are moving to engagement. And I give this challenge to Gala and every citizen, every youth, that government is aware of your concerns, and government is ready to work with you to resolve these concerns. We've opened our doors for engagement, and I hope going forward engagement will be the appropriate action we'll take in dealing with our collective issues. On that note, I'd like to end here, and I'd like to call on the Minister of Finance and Economic Affairs to come and read government's press statement in response to the Gala petitions. Thanks.
And the media fraternity, Gala members here present. Before I delve into the statement proper, I will just re-echo the statement of the Honorable Minister of Information to emphasize that this is not us versus them. It's a collective responsibility. The action that has been taken by Gala is in the furtherance of public service delivery and to enhance accountability. And your queries have been adequately attended to. That's why you have almost half of cabinet here. And this is just a representation, but there was a lot of work that went into responding appropriately to the queries raised. I will indulge your patience because the questions deserve commensurate response, and the statement will be a bit prolongated, but that's just for the interest of time to emphasize the amount of work that went into this. And the statement is as follows. The government of the Gambia's reaction to the petition from the Gambia against looted assets relating to corruption cases transparency and accountability in public financial management and governance reforms. We thank you for your presence and your continued interest in the country's progress towards transparency, accountability, and sound economic management. This press conference is organized on the heels of the peaceful protests staged by Gambians against looted assets on the 23rd of July 2025. And the government received the petition in good faith, and as a responsible and responsive government, we are alive to the call made by the citizen seeking to safeguard our shared resources, thereby call for public accountability and institutional integrity in the management of public resources. The Gala movement raised 3 issues to the government, and these are: 1, implementation of the parliamentary inquiry report, recommendations on the importation and sale of petroleum products valued at $30 million. 2, general update on the progress of audit cases involving corruption and fraud. 3, the implementation of the acute kidney failure panel investigation report. General remarks: since 2017, this administration of His Excellency Adama Barrow has pursued comprehensive governance reforms across the political, legal, and economic sectors, which have been designed to consolidate democracy, fight corruption, and modernize the management of public resources. The results are visible. Our Corruption Perception Index, as published by Transparency International, score has improved from a score of 30 out of 100 in 2017, at which point our ranking was 130 globally, to a score of 38 out of 100 in 2024, the latest, with a global ranking of 96, meaning we've moved by 34 countries out of 180. This significant improvement is supported by new legislation such as Anti-Corruption Act and the Access to Information Act. The government has also pursued the introduction of a new constitution and has empowered our accountability and governance institutions, which ensures the realization of the clamor for justice and accountability in our public spaces. And also, the World Bank does conduct annual, what they call country portfolio and institutional assessment report. The report was just released July, and we have ranked 3.2. We have trailed above the sub-Saharan African average, and this is the highest rating the country has ever realized since the ranking has started. This is not just a number, but it will go on to even increase the resource envelope the government will have from not just the World Bank, but other multilateral partners like the ADB. These are there. And also another scorecard is the MCC Millennium Challenge Corporation, which has ranked Gambia, and our ranking, I think we are number 5 in Africa. These are just score points, but these can all be researched on the internet and verified from the public sources. Fellow Gambians, allow me to highlight some of the key reform agenda introduced by this administration in the public finance management. A new public finance management bill is being developed to replace the existing one to modernize budgeting, expenditure control, debt management, and fiscal reporting. The first cut of this bill has gone through Cabinet, and the comments are now being incorporated for it to be reintroduced to Cabinet for onward transmission to the National Assembly. Also, we have enacted a new State-Owned Enterprise Act in 2023 to oversee the parastatals and improve the corporate governance. The SOE Commission will also support the planned efforts to strengthen budgetary processes and supervision of the SOEs. I think we have some early wins on these commission's output. The combined losses of some of these state-owned enterprises as of 2024 was about $2 billion in losses. As of June, the combined loss has been reduced by 50% and is now $1 billion. And we are on progress to transform these SOEs I'm sure you are aware of the sanctions being imposed on some of the agencies. Some of them means pay cuts. For some, it requires travel ban for the chief executives. And these are all reforms that are undergoing. Efforts to improve integrity and transparency of the public procurement recruitment systems have been undertaken. A new Public Procurement Act, GPPA, has been adopted and supported by a rollout of an e-procurement platform shortly to reduce corruption risks, shorten procurement cycles, and enhance competition. The Gambia Revenue Authority is also making continued efforts to strengthen the internal processes. The GRA established an internal affairs unit and has developed the mandates, standards, operating procedures, and other policy documents to support operations. The GRA continues its digitalization effort by full automation of its processes in customs using the ASCUDA wall, and efforts are underway to fully digitize the current domestic tax administration called GAMTaxNet into an integrated tax management system. I think on this one we all see the quantum leap our revenue performance have gone through recently. And just these are numbers that can be compared easily. We have seen GRA perform phenomenally thanks to digitalization. For the first 7 months of the year, GRA has clocked 15 billion. And this can be contrasted with the total revenue collected by GRA in 2022, just 3 years ago, when the total revenue collected was 11 billion. So in a nutshell, what GRA has collected in 7 months in 2025 exceeds the total annual collection of 2022, which was 11 million. The amendments to the Central Bank Act of 2018 strengthened the central bank governance and independence, which established a stronger foundation to further enhance the central bank governance and operation. A new banking bill has been drafted to modernize supervision, strengthen prudential standards, and improve risk management in the financial sector. To strengthen anti-corruption framework, its authorities have enacted a new Anti-Corruption Act, and the appointment of the commissioners of this commission is in progress. These reforms have not only strengthened the Gambia's public financial management framework, but have also translated into tangible benefits for citizens. Improved fiscal discipline, more efficient expenditure control, and stronger revenue administration have led to marked increase in government revenues at the GRA. I mean, revenues increased from 7.79 billion only in 2017 to 20.85 in 2024. I was just giving the latest statistics of 2025, registering an annualized growth of 15.2% over the revenue collection period, or an increase of more than 162%. These funds have been channeled into visible projects such as upgraded roads, expanded energy access, modernized public facilities, and directly enhanced economic activities and the quality of life. The direct beneficiary of some of these efficiency gains are even in the civil servants' compensation. The regime has increased the compensation to the civil servants by more than 110% since 2017. And in the last 2 years, by more than 60%. Today, nobody in the civil service is receiving anything below $6,000 per annum as a minimum. We have done 2 salary increases in the last 3 years. In 2022, we increased 30% across the board. In the last 2025, we increased the salaries by a wage bill increase of 30%, but some of the grades, this was cascaded. The lower grades have increases of more than even 70%. These are where these efficiency gains are channeled to. The digitization of the custom and tax administration, coupled with the rollout of the e-procurement platform, has streamlined the service delivery, reduced processing times, and improved public access to services. These technological upgrades, alongside a stronger anti-corruption framework, have increased the detection of fraud and financial misconduct, ensuring that public funds are used as intended. The combination of greater transparency, enhanced accountability, and more efficient systems have built public trust while enabling the state to deliver economic development more effectively. It is paramount to highlight that in addition to the public financial management agenda, This administration has also established a series of commissions of inquiry, including the JANE Commission, the Local Government Inquiry Commission, and the Parliamentary Inquiry on Looted Assets. Furthermore, the government has intensified its fight against drugs, leading to a wave of arrest and prosecution, among other notable measures. The public is hereby assured of the Commission's finding that the Commission findings will be implemented to the letter, that the will of justice may be slow but surely will roll out. The administration of justice by its nature comes with challenges. It is said that justice delayed is justice denied, but due care must be made to ensure innocent citizens' rights are not infringed in the process. Addressing the parliamentary inquiry on the importation and sale of the petroleum products worth $30 million, the government has submitted its response to the parliament while noting the inquiry's conclusion that substantive allegations of bribery, the sale of petroleum product worth 36 million tons valued at $30 million could not be established. This was the conclusion of the inquiry. The key four primary bases of the inquiry, it was established, were not found. The government acknowledged the additional comments that the parliamentary inquiry produced. And revelations related to serious governance. These are like issues of governance and administrative issues were highlighted as additional output of the inquiry. The government acknowledges the inquiry's revelation related to serious governance and regulatory failures, pervasive non-compliance and financial, tax and corporate laws, and troubling disregard to due process by both public institutions and private entities involved in the transaction. As a result, the government informs the National Assembly of its commitment to upholding good governance, ensure enhanced systems of internal control, institutional strengthening, and its strong will to enforce the laws and regulations in the management of public resources. To that end, the government welcomed the work of the Parliamentary Committee and has taken note of its recommended reforms, stricter regulatory frameworks, and urgency to enhance interagency coordination to prevent the recurrence of such anomalies. As such, the government is committed to take decisive actions towards addressing identified anomalies as identified in the report. Bearing in mind that the inquiry started with the report of suspicious transaction report flagged by the Financial Intelligence Unit, which was followed through by the FIU investigation investigating anti-money laundering and financial crimes related to the transaction. The FIU investigation had then was shared with the police and the central bank for further investigation. Both the police and the central bank conducted investigations and reached inconclusive findings to the effect that the fundamental question in respect of source identification of funds came from oil proceeds. Notwithstanding, the transaction itself was clouded with suspicion given the relationship between the entities involved, for which a closer scrutiny would have discovered some regulatory breaches. To that effect, the government is implementing recommendations made in the report such as follows: that the Ministry of Petroleum and Energy has restored the sole regulatory authority for overland petroleum imports to PURA since the 4th of July 2024, restoring regulatory coherence and institutional integrity. This corrective action reflects the commitment of both the Ministry of Petroleum and PURA in upholding regulatory best practice. PURA is actively reviewing the enforcement regulation to bring them in line with international best practice. The authority aims to finalize and adopt revised enforcement regulations alongside updated petroleum licensing guidelines by December 2025. The central bank has sanctioned 2 commercial banks following the inspection prompted by the FIU intelligence report and is conducting a special audit of foreign currency transactions and sub-accounts managed by third parties to ensure that no such arrangement exists in the banking sector for the perpetration of illicit transactions. The GRA has issued best of judgment assessment to the 2 non-compliant petroleum companies, that is Creed Energy and Ultimate Beige Limited, in the sums of $8,576,716 and $12,296,923 respectively, and instituted a recovery process to ensure that they comply with the tax obligation. Recognizing the critical importance of a nationally accredited petroleum laboratory in safeguarding the product quality, environmental safety, and consumer protection, the government of the Gambia has entered into an agreement with SICPA for the construction and equipping of a state-of-the-art petroleum 10,000 metric ton PMS with an ETA expected time of arrival of mid-May, which was extended towards the end of May. By that time, Apoji had also come, and they were allocated haulage of 14,500 metric tons. For this space to have been there, logically proof that there was little activity in the depot. The Attorney General and Minister of Justice should constitute a panel to further investigate the conduct of concerned officers in the investigation into the report of the Financial Intelligence Unit and report to the National Assembly within 90 days of tabling this report. The committee recommends that the Attorney General and Minister of Justice constitute a special independent panel to investigate the procedure adopted by the police in investigating the STR against Mr. Orimos and the report to the National Assembly within 90 days of tabling this report. That the Attorney General initiate criminal investigation into Mr. Orimos and related parties for potential money laundering and financial crimes. In addition to these measures, the government is also addressing several ongoing cases of suspected fraud across the public institutions. And what we will do here is to just identify the case and synopsis of what the cases entail. There are about 8 of them. Case 1, that is the state versus Balakande, Omar CEESAY, and Mohamed Lamin Jaiti. The details of this case the case involves senior government officials, a former permanent secretary of Ministry of Health and a former program manager, National Malaria Control Program. They are charged with the offense of official corruption, economic crime, and other fraud-related charges. The prosecution has closed its case and it's now at the defense stage. Case number 2, that is the state versus Amisar and 5 others. This case involves staff of Social Security and Housing Finance Corporation. They are charged with the offense of corruption and other fraud-related charges. The state has closed its case and it is now for the defense to start. State versus Usman Bahum and 4 others. This involves the staff of the Immigration Department. Accused persons are charged with offense of official corruption and other state-related charges. The state has called all its witnesses and the case is now at the defense stage. Case number 4, State versus Abasanya and Pamodu Jup. This case involved former governor of the Central River Region and an accountant. They are charged with the offense of economic crime and other fraud-related charges. Prosecution is ongoing. Case 5, State versus Uswa Chairman, 2 others. This case involves staff of the Ministry of Justice, Registrar General Department. The accused are charged to court for the offense of economic crime and other fraud-related charges. Prosecution is ongoing. Case number 6, State versus Jacqueline Kanti and others. The first accused is a staff of the Gambia Ports Authority and connived with bank officials. They are charged with forgery and other related offenses. The case is ongoing at the prosecution stage. 8, State versus Ibrahim Janko Koli and others. This case involves magistrate and 2 staff of the judiciary of the Gambia. They are charged with the offense of fraud and breach of trust and other offenses as well. The case is progressing before the court. Case number 8, State versus Bubakar SM Jobate. The case is against the former Director of Protocol of Foreign Affairs. He's being charged with fraud related to offenses in connection to diplomatic passport scam. Prosecution has been concluded, now awaiting judgment. Case number, I said 8, but actually the total number of cases is 13. are on the number of cases at the beginning. Number 9, State versus Mansa Sumare and Ibrahim Sani. This case involves the protocol officer at the Office of the Foreign Affairs and a driver at the State House. They are standing trial on fraud-related charges concerning diplomatic passports scam. The case has been concluded and now awaiting judgment. State versus Lamin Banda. The case is a police commissioner. He is charged with the offense of theft. The case is still ongoing before the court. 11, State versus Chorna Ocham and Babu Seka. The accused staff persons are NAWEC officials. They are being charged with the offense of official corruption. The case is progressing before the courts. 12, State versus Usman Jammeh. Usman Jammeh of GNPC, a pump attendant, was on duty in Brusubi petrol station in December 2022. In the middle of the night, he allegedly absconded with 1,162,607, which was the total sales for the day. Mr. Jammeh appeared in court recently and was charged with theft under Section 233 of the Criminal Offence Act 2025. Case 13, State versus Ibrahim Akrubali, GNPC Bansang Station. Ibrahim Akrubali was the supervisor and was suspected of stealing through official shortages in the tanks. He was suspended and the case is still pending internally. They are still waiting for legal advice on the next steps. Additionally, these are all in public discourse to put in the public media of the action taken by the government in addressing matters of corruption and financial malpractice. Additionally, with respect to the alleged fraud cases at the GPA rating unit between the periods of January 1, 2019 to 31st of December 2021, involving 9 staff members of the authority alongside possible accomplices, including consignees and clearing agents. The police initially submitted a report to the Ministry of Justice for legal guidance. The ministry subsequently returned the file to the police, requesting further inquiry into specific matters requiring greater clarity. Following this directive, the police have since concluded their investigation in full and resubmitted a final report to the Ministry of Justice for legal opinion. It is worth underscoring that the entire process was first set in motion by a whistleblower within GPA, prompting the authority to undertake its own preliminary review before ultimately referring the case to the police for a comprehensive investigation. Meanwhile, the board has sanctioned that the GPA staff adversely mentioned in the police report are placed on administrative leave pending further actions. The suspects that were investigated by the police include Rakiba, Binta Salah, Kumbasar, Sohna Bojang, and Yan Dembenga. Moreover, with respect to the alleged fraud case at the GPPC, in the light of the allegation raised by the board chair regarding the suspected fraudulent procurement practices attributed to the managing director, the SOE Commission acted swiftly by placing the managing director on administrative leave and mandating the National Audit Office to conduct a thorough investigation into the matter. The National Audit Office inquiry is presently underway, and the government will determine the course of action regarding the managing director's tenure upon receipt of the final investigation. And another matter that's not captured in the report proper is the investigation at the Social Development Fund. The audit report has been concluded, and both the managing director and the finance director have been sent on the leave, and the Ministry of Finance is taking the necessary remedial action. Disciplinary investigation conducted by the PSC and the PMO. Section 28 of the PSC regulations mandate the Public Service Commission as the sole responsible authority in all matters concerning the disciplinary control of the public service, except for public officers whose disciplinary control have been delegated. When such reports are received, the Chairman of the Public Service Commission, in accordance with Section 53 thereof, may constitute an investigating committee. Following the advent of the new democratic dispensation in January 2017, the Public Service Commission was reconstituted and given free hand to execute its full mandate, including the mandate to ensure disciplinary control of the public service. Having taken the prescribed oath, commissions reaffirmed its unwavering commitment to transparency, accountability, and rule of law. In recent years, the decisive disciplinary actions have been taken against public officers found to be involved in corruption, fraud, and abuse of office. These measures reflect the Commission's zero-tolerance stance on indiscipline and its dedication to restoring public trust in the civil service. To this end, the Public Service Commission successfully conducted investigations against public officers found to be involved in corruption, fraud, and abuse of office. The Commission has recently conducted these investigations in the following institutions. 1, Department of Fisheries to Ministry of Petroleum and Energy, Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Ministry of Youth and Sports, Gambia Immigration Department, Ministry of Environment, Climate Change, and Natural Resources. Investigation and the Department of Fisheries. On the 11th of July 2023, the Permanent Secretary Personnel Management Office submitted the recommendation to the Public Service Commission, advising the Commission to initiate disciplinary proceedings against Adam Asane, Principal Fisheries Assistant at the Ministry of Fisheries, Water Resources, and Natural Resources. Water Resources and Natural Assembly Matters. Mr. Sane was alleged to have been involved in a fraudulent act of validating catch certificates using the official seal of the Department of Fisheries. Having conducted a thorough investigation, the Public Service Commission concluded that Mr. Sane has failed to perform due diligence in the conduct of his duties. Mr. Sane himself confessed to the Commission that he made errors by way of stamping catch certificates without verification. This action by Mr. Sane constituted a serious lapse, thereby contravening the Civil Service Code of Conduct, which considers it a gross misconduct for failure by a civil servant to use best judgment in the performance of his or her duties. Consequently, Mr. Sane's services were terminated accordingly. Investigation conducted at the Ministry of Petroleum and Energy, the Petroleum Commission, the Public Service Commission received a memo from the Office of the President via letter reference BCQ 59/251 dated 3rd April 2023 from the Ministry of Petroleum and Energy, alleging that Mr. Muntaga Sala, Permanent Secretary at the said ministry, impersonated Pa Modou Sarr, advisor to the Honorable Minister, and fraudulently registered 2 individuals from 16th to the 18th of May 2023. Following the extensive interaction with Mr. Sala, he posited that it became clear to him in his interaction with one Kemo Sedi that he was involved in a hidden scam on behalf of the Logic Solution to acquire UK entry visa in favor of Mrs. Adama Masre and Sajad Jiba, staff of Logic Solution, who were fraudulently presented as staff of the Office of the President. This scam entailed an implicit offer to meet the cost of government boots to manage it in the event Ministry of Petroleum did not have the capacity. Mr. Sala's registration to attend any such conferences was also offered to be met by the Logic Solution, but approval for his travel and payment of his per diem and air ticket were to be the responsibility of the government. Based on the investigation and the established findings that Mr. Muntaga Sala had communicated with Kemo Sedi regarding the Africa Energy Summit, the investigation concluded that Mr. Sala was in violation of the General Orders 03103 and Section 4.4.8 of the Code of Conduct. Consequently, his services were terminated with immediate effect. Item 3, investigation conducted at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. The Public Service Commission received a missive reference AMH/261/274 dated 3rd of January 2024 from the Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Public Service, submitting a preliminary investigation report related to an alleged forged Gambian diplomatic passport and an appointment letter for one Dr. Enrique Caridad Angola Berrero. This preliminary investigation report highlighted that Mr. Seydou A.M. Bah, Assistant Superintendent of Immigration and the Gambia Immigration Department, was implicated in this fraudulent activity. As per the said memo, the Public Service Commission was requested to carry out a comprehensive investigation into the matter to establish the fact. In the light of the above request, the chairman, Public Service Commission, acted in accordance with Section 53 of the PSC Regulation 2013 and constituted a 3-member committee investigating committee. Following a thorough investigation into the issue, Mr. Seydou A.M. Bah confessed that he facilitated the production of both the police report and an affidavit, which are prerequisite for the creation of the forged diplomatic passport, as well as his failure to inform the relevant authorities after it became clear to him that the whole scheme was a scam. Therefore, the investigation committee concluded that Mr. Bah violated the Civil Service Code of Conduct by failing to use his best judgment in the performance of his duties, as well as concealing an attempt to steal, defraud, or commit an act contrary to the interests of the government. Consequently, the Commission decided to terminate the service of Mr. Bah with the government of the Gambia. Item 4, investigation conducted by the Ministry of Youth and Sports. The PSC also received another complaint about Mr. Sute Jao, former Director of Department of Youth and Sports. The matter followed the Gambia's qualification for the AFCON 2023, which was to be played in Ivory Coast. As a result of this development, a training camp was organized in Saudi Arabia from the 1st to the 9th of January 2024, and Mr. Sute Jao, Director of Youth and Sports representing the ministry, was identified as the impress holder for the payment of players and technical team. In the light of this assignment, Mr. Jao was given an impress of 14,550,000, equivalent to 194,000 euros. Upon return of the delegation, Mr. Jao submitted a report to the Ministry of Youth and Sports stating that the entire impress amount had been retired. He claimed that the remaining funds were used for transit hotel, food and beverages. However, the players later informed the Ministry of Youth and Sport that they did not receive any refreshments during the 6 to 7 hours transit at the airport in Morocco. When the Permanent Secretary requested an explanation and a detailed expenditure report with supporting documents from Mr. Jao, he claimed to have duly retired the funds to the AFCOM subcommittee, but the committee chairman confirmed that there was an outstanding amount of 12,500 euros, equivalent to 937,500. Against this background, the PSC conducted an investigation into the matter. The conclusion of the investigation revealed that Mr. Jao has accepted and took responsibility for the missing funds amounting to the 937,500, or equivalent of 12,500 euros. In the light of his admission of guilt, the PSC demoted Mr. Jao while requiring him to refund the unretired impress of 937,500. Mr. Jao has since completed that payment, and the Commission is awaiting the confirmation of the full payment from the National Sports Council. Item 5, investigations conducted by Gambia Immigration Department. I warned you it's a bit long, so I'm sure you'll bear with me. The PSC conducted 2 investigations at the Gambia Immigration Department relating to the allegations of corruption and fraud. The case of Bakari Njai, Superintendent of Immigration. The Public Service Commission received a preliminary investigation report from the Permanent Secretary, Personnel Management in your office on the 27th of January 2025 regarding an allegation that Mr. Bakari Njai, Superintendent of Immigration, collected an amount of $30,000 from one ISMAILA Tunkara in return granted him bail with a promise that he was going to talk to the magistrate at Brikama Magistrate Court to influence his sentence if found guilty. Mr. Tunkara was caught with the by the immigration officials at the Banjul International Airport and taken to court for using someone else's passport with the intention of traveling. The investigation concluded that Superintendent Bakari Njai took the monies but was compelled to return the monies to the rightful owner through the intervention of the Gambia Immigration Department senior management at the Banjul International Airport. In the light of the foregoing, PSC concluded that the action of Superintendent Bakari Njai constituted a gross misconduct, and the Commission therefore approved the termination of his services accordingly. The case of Musa D. Sanyang, Deputy Superintendent of Immigration. The PSC conducted an investigation into the allegation of issuance of machine-readable passport to one Mbemba DRAMMEH. At the conclusion of the investigation, it was concluded that Deputy Superintendent Musa D. Sanyang was the person who facilitated the issuance of non-biometric passport to Mbemba DRAMMEH after jumping bail and fleeing the country. He was thus found to have failed to exercise due diligence given his capacity as the systems administrator. In view of the findings and conclusion, the PSC decided to dismiss Deputy Superintendent Musa D. Sanyang from services of the Gambia government on the grounds of his fraudulent conduct. 6. Investigation conducted at the Ministry of Environment, Climate Change and Natural Resources. At the Ministry of Environment, Climate Change and Natural Resources, the Commission received a complaint about one Mr. Lamin Bajo, the Regional Forestry Officer at Lower River Region. At the conclusion of the investigation, it was established that Mr. Bajo had failed to obey the instruction given by the Honorable Minister to allow the disposal process to proceed, thereby leading to the disappearance of the 2 illegally felled mahogany trees in Kaya village, thereby causing an economic loss to the state to the tune of $40,000. In the light of the above conclusions, and given that Mr. Bajo had violated the Code of Conduct of the Civil Service, the Commission decided to terminate his service with the government of the Gambia. In addition to the above, the Commission has recently dealt with a number of other disciplinary cases involving public servants, some of which resulted in such disciplinary actions as demotions, reprimand, redeployment, and compulsory retirement. Investigations into the following cases have been completed, and the case files have been transmitted to the Attorney General's chambers for legal review, advice, and possible prosecution. Banjul City Council, Gambia Ports Authority, Brikama District Hospital, Gambia International Airlines, Sub-Saharan Africa, Women's Empowerment and Demographic Dividend Plus, Sweat Plus Project, Independent Electoral Commission, City Link EU Project, Osten Project, Central Bank of the Gambia Investigation, COVID-19 Investigation Phase 1, Procurement and Distribution of Food and Medical Items, COVID-19 Audit Investigation Phase 2, Payments to tourism workers and tourism institutions and media relief support package. The post-audit police investigation into the following cases are ongoing. 1. Edward Francis Small Teaching Hospital, suspicious transaction report on SDF, which I reported earlier, audit has been concluded. GT Board, Ecotourism and Contractual Issues, COVID-19, Audit Investigation Phase 2, Payments to the frontline workers and the distribution of medical items outside the Greater Banjul area. While these investigative actions demonstrate the government's determination to ensure accountability in all spheres of public service, we recognize the delay in completing the investigation and would endeavor to support our accountability institution to improve on the delivery of service to enhance speedy justice. As I have just told you, one of them was concluded. So in a nutshell, this is the first response, the first of the two of the first response that Gala has requested, and we have given a very elaborate description of the course of action government has taken. Now we will go on to the third element, which is the petition on the AKI acute kidney injury to His Excellency the President of the Republic by Gala. The Gambia experienced terrible tragedy of the case of contaminated syrup imported into the country in 2022. The death of several children was registered due to the consumption of the Indian manufactured syrups, which caused acute kidney injuries. The President took a swift action and authorized the suspension of the license of the importer and the pharmacy, that is Atlantic Pharmacy, and through the Medical Control Agency further blacklisted the Indian drug manufacturer, Made in Pharmaceuticals, and banned all its products on the government of India to bring about justice to the victims of this heinous crime. His Excellency further instructed that the suspected pharmacy owner and importer of the syrups into the country, as well as senior officials of the Medicine Control Agency, be arrested and investigated. He further directed that a panel of investigation, both by the police and the administration, be established to ensure that this incident never recur. The National Assembly also launched an inquiry into the matter and made recommendations. Let me update you on the efforts and progress so far on the implementation of the resolutions of the National Assembly. 1, protecting the public health through stronger regulation and oversight. The Minister of Health and the government of the Gambia have undertaken appropriate steps to establish National Medicine Quality Control Lab, which is nearing completion. The necessary equipment is also being procured. The Minister of Health and the government recognize the importance of the Medicine Control Agency's functioning as an independent, autonomous corporate body based on international best practice for medical product regulation. The government is committed to working with the partners to provide the necessary resources for MCA proper authorization. Currently, the government is reviewing the Medicines and Related Products Act of 2014 and will ensure that the MCA operate as an autonomous independent entity. 2, preventing further tragedies through systemic reforms. The MCA has already blacklisted Made in Pharmaceuticals and banned all its products on the market in Gambia. Since 2023, the MCA has been building the competence of its staff on good manufacturing practice, inspection through support from partners like the World Health Organization, NEPAD, and NEPAD. Since 2023, MCA have started GMP inspections to India, China, and Pakistan major pharmaceutical companies supplying medicine to the Gambia. The good medical practice inspection has international standard prescribed by the WHO and differs from a mere on-site factory visit. MCA is fully implementing the registration of medicines and related products across the board, including products from the Ministry of Health, the mandatory legal requirement for registering all medical products as recommended by the National Assembly Select Committee on AKI report. Currently, the compulsory registration is limited to medicines and related products not manufactured or produced in countries considered to have a stringent regulatory authority, SRA, and such as USA and the European Union countries. MCA also enforces strict quality control, testing for all medicines produced in countries outside SRA. Since 2023, MCA has introduced pre-shipment inspections and testing through several independent accredited quality control laboratories in India, China, Pakistan, and Ghana to assess all medicines before they are shipped to the Gambia. In 2024, MCA appointed full-time inspectors stationed at Banjul International Airport, Banjul Seaport, and most official land border entry points nationwide. MCA also collaborates strategically with all stakeholders, especially security services, to ensure effective control of illegal cross-border trade in medicines and other medical products. With the government support, MCA plans to increase the number of inspectors at points of entry and regional access points across the country. strengthening of the national capacity and accountability. The government has established a school of pharmacy under the University of the Gambia and has conducted admissions for the first batch of students for 2025 academic year. The Pharmacy Council of the Gambia is regarded as a very important health regulatory body, and the Minister of Health and the government, through the current review of the Pharmacy Council Act of 2024, will ensure that it is adequately empowered and independent for its effective and efficient operations. Legislative process is initiated for the introduction of a mandatory real-time digital traceability system for all pharmaceutical outlets across both the private and public sectors. Once enacted, a track and trace system will be in place from the manufacturer throughout the supply chain to the consumer. If that comes through, I think the issue of missed drugs or unavailability of drugs in our public facilities will be significantly reduced. Justice, compensation, and the healing for victims and families. The case is currently before the courts, and the court's ruling will determine the government's further actions regarding justice, compensation, and the healing of victims of the families. The government is working with the Indian authorities to file a case against the Indian pharmaceutical firm that exported the killer syrup to the Gambia. Legislative reforms and institutional oversight. The Ministry of Health is reviewing the amendment bill on the medicines and related products. This process will conclude soon and will be submitted to the National Assembly for enactment. I think it has been a long session. It was sort of like a marathon, but we are now concluding. Ladies and gentlemen, these reforms, both across our public finance systems and in the petroleum sector, represent a decisive step forward toward a modern, transparent, and accountable state. The government of the Gambia remains committed to implementing these measures in full and will report progress to both the National Assembly and the general public, while acknowledging the incidences and the negative impacts of corruption on our society as it undermines the development, security, and human rights and rule of law. This administration is committed to combating corruption by all means necessary. To do that, I call upon active participation of all citizens, civil society organizations, the press, the youth groups, and members of the diaspora to join hands with the government in this important endeavor. Let us work together to build the future where justice prevails, where the wounds of the past are healed.